Previously on Full House.
Enjoy your little fantasy.
We're riding on the trail for fun. Michelle! She fell off her horse.
Michelle, don't move her. I think she hit her head. It's like a bad dream or something.
I know.
This is not. Got it. No way, Jose. You are not good.
So then the other one, when I was like, I'm gonna read some of these vlogs, was season 7, episode 17, The Last Dance. That's the one where Papouli dies.
Oh.
The fucking worst episode of this whole show. Like, goddamn, that's a bad episode. So I really had no question at all that I had to read that one. It's also pretty long. Like, the review is long because the episode is so bad. But we have plenty of time. So I hope you guys are ready. Did everyone who came in later, did you all tell the people at the front that you were coming for this event? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah! Alright, thank you very much. Alright, so there's no pre-credits gag because it was such a special episode. Since I didn't have time. So I'll just skip to the episode itself. Alright. The family hastily prepared dolmas in preparation for the arrival of Jesse's grandfather. They don't call them dolmas, though, because that's too ethnic sounding. Joey devours them as they're prepared because he's always seeking out new ways to be a blight on the family. Michelle asks if her great-grandfather has a job back in Greece, presumably because the idea that Jesse would have descended from anyone who can hold a job would be astounding to her. And Danny tells her that he's retired now, but used to be a fisherman. Then Danny recalls his own father taking Joey and himself fishing when they were kids, which is weird because I don't know if Danny's father has ever been mentioned on the show before. I always just assumed that he cut out the minute he saw Danny's stupid face push its way out of his wife's vagina. Anyway, Joey and Danny nostalgically recall their childhood dream of owning a boat and sailing around the world together, which has to rank pretty high in the Full House homoerotic illusions list. And then they regretfully acknowledge that it never came to fruition. Probably because Danny had to give up all his fun life plans when his stupid, ugly kids were born. Hey, did you get that vodka?
No, you really want one?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Someone's getting the vodka. Alright. Alright, I gotta loosen myself up. There's an old man's about to die.
Yeah.
Sorry to give that away.
Yeah.
Okay. DJ comes downstairs and tells everyone that she's going to the mall to buy some shades. And that she really wants, and then, as she's describing them, Kimmy Gibbler walks into the house sporting said shades. She looks so good. DJ gets all pissed and calls Kimmy Gibbler out on always biting her stilo, and then Kimmy Gibbler's like, "Suck my dick," and storms out of the house. See, there's some really cool connections between these two posts, too. Watch, you'll see. They're coming up. This paper is stuck together. DJ and Kimmy Gibbler used to have a much more rocky and temperamental relationship in the earlier seasons, such as in the horse episode. And I have to say that I've missed it. Things have been pretty bland between them for a while, and this shitty, unwarranted argument is like a pleasant reminder of the good old days, when the show was just remarkably terrible instead of unbearably terrible. Jesse comes home with his grandfather, and everyone enthusiastically rushes to greet him, which is typical for a family to do when an incredibly old relative arrives for a visit. Michelle refers to him as Grandpa, and he insists that they call him Papouli, which is some sort of a Greek thing, supposedly. There he is. Check that motherfucker out. Alright, so I found myself wondering who the fuck this guy is, but it actually turns out that he did appear in a previous episode at the beginning of the 4th season, when Jesse's extensive Greek family all showed up at the Full House and forced non-consensual marriages onto everyone. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
They're like, DJ, this is your cousin. You're married to him.
They have to go around the table.
Yeah, they went around the table. She knows. All right. I need to sit with that for a minute. All right. Considering the long history of discarded grandparents on this show, as well as its frequent disregard for continuity, I was surprised and uneasy when I learned that he was actually a returning character. But then I remembered his wife that he showed up with him last time, who was never seen or mentioned in this episode, and I felt a little better. As Papouli greets everyone, he gets every one of their names wrong, and every time they correct him by telling him who they really are, he says, "Of course you are," which is a classic Alzheimer's move. Papouli prepares a moussaka in a dish that's actually hot for once. I don't know what that means. And then DJ comes home and starts bitching about how Kimmy Gibbler is walking around school sporting those shades she wanted. Papouli, that's hard to say on a microphone. Papouli. Hey, it's Sophie. Hey, guys. Papouli tells DJ Papouli tells DJ a long, rambling story about two men in his quaint little village who had a similar disagreement, but it doesn't have much effect. Probably because it's meandering and nonsensical, and because, for whatever reason, old black stereotypes seem much more effective for dispensing magical wisdom than old European stereotypes. That's like the first rule of TV and movies. Thanks for the booze, Maggie. Oh, whatever gets you through this, you know. Oh, yeah. Alright. Here we go. Oh, alright. Michelle points out the big mess that she and Stephanie have made as they've prepared bread or something for Papouli, but then he just encourages him to throw flour all over the place while festive Greek music plays. Oh, Papouli, you're so whimsical. Wait, is that? No, that's no. I fucked up. That's the moussaka. There it is. Yeah. Papouli's like, you can do it however you want. I wonder if this family's grand tradition of imposing inconsiderate behavior started with Papouli, or if he's supposed to be passing on a much older custom from the old country. Have the Tanners' pushy ways been a derogatory representation of Greek culture all this time? Papouli teaches Michelle a traditional Greek dance, and then she asks him to come and teach it to her class at school. He agrees to do it, and then she tells him that she loves him, and they hug. Oh. Can we all... Oh, wait, okay. I'm fucking up on these. Can we all... Aww. That's so good. It really makes you feel good when you all say, aww. Okay, so try to follow along here. This shit's about to get crazy. This is like the most insane left turn ever that ever happened on television. Okay, so try to follow along here. Some more traditional Greek music plays over a shot of San Francisco, and then sad music starts playing over a shot of the Full House. All of a sudden, the whole family is sitting around the dining room table in tears, and Jesse says that it feels like he's having a bad dream, which I can totally relate to. I'm gonna get that shit tattooed on my neck. Becky hugs him and says that at least Papouli died in his sleep and then... Wait, what? That was the most abrupt transition in the history of television. He didn't even die during a commercial break. There was literally no setup whatsoever. I guess that this might signify how suddenly he died or something, but it really feels to me like a couple of scenes were cut. I would love to see the director's cut of this episode. Everyone sits around crying and saying how great Papouli was, and there aren't even any lame jokes or anything. Just hilarious tears. Maybe I'm a horrible person, but I have to admit that this shit actually made me really laugh hard. This is honestly the first time I've ever gotten hearty belly laughter out of Full House. Don't get me wrong, an old man dying is totally not funny in 99 out of 100 cases, but Full House trying to force me to feel sad about the abrupt death of some character that was on screen for literally 8 minutes is a very clear exception. Maybe if they brought Papouli in earlier and had him hang around for a few episodes, it might seem justifiable if they want me to give a shit about him. But they really did bring him into the Full House just so they could kill him off, trying to make us feel sad. Fuck that shit, and fuck Papouli in his decrepit, deceased anus. What? The only strong emotion I feel is schadenfreude at the stupid crying faces of the shittiest people in the history of America as they mourn their obscure Greek great-grandfather. I wish that Papouli would come back to life just so he could die all over again. My only regret is that more of them haven't died. It should have been you, Joey. It should have been you. Shit. Alright. Joey being dead is just so funny. Alright. Jesse says says that he feels helpless and that he wishes he could have been there so he could do something to help Papouli. Again, this is just fucking nonsense. It's not like Papouli got hit by a bus or got AIDS or something after they let him run loose in the Castro. That was fucked up, I'll admit. Hey guys. Hey guys. AIDS is not funny. Shame on me. We should all hope to be so lucky as to die peacefully in our sleep when we're 1,000,000 years old. Also, what the fuck would Jesse have done to help anyway? Play him some shitty Beach Boys cover? Feed him fried chicken on his deathbed? Jesse is worthless in any given situation, much less one that cannot be helped. Jesse cries some more and describes Papouli as such a beautiful man, which again made me laugh hysterically. I don't think I've actually enjoyed watching this show since the Urkel episode. I should have read the Urkel episode. That one was fucking great. Someone should die in every episode. Anyway, Jesse rushes upstairs to deal with arrangements, like what to do with Papouli's festering corpse, but not before requesting any help for the rest of the family. Becky explains to them that Jesse's having a manic episode as an attempt to deal with Papouli's death, and she kindly refrains from pointing out that he denied their help because they're all a bunch of gigantic fuck-ups, and he doesn't want to deal with any wacky mishaps right now because he's too busy crying like a lost Girl Scout who's been separated from her troop in the woods. By the way, I'm just going to put it out there that I'm pretty sure that Danny smothered Papouli with the pillow while he slept because he threw flour all over the kitchen. Don't even tell me. Oh yeah, there's another slide. Look at those fucking jerks. This is the only good episode. Alright, we're super good on time. I can really draw this out. Michelle comes home and totally ignores everyone's crying faces because what the fuck does she care about anybody else? She asks where Papouli is because she wants to give... Oh, it's suspenseful while I turn the page. Him some piece of shit popsicle stick sculpture that she made, and then, because nobody will answer her question, she finally notices that everyone's upset. Danny explains to her that Papouli was old as shit, and they found his mouldering corpse when they went to wake him up, and that made me wonder whose bed he died in. I'd really like to know. I'm also curious about the current whereabouts of Papouli's cadaver. Did the coroner already come, or is he still upstairs, rapidly withering away in one of the girls' beds? Or possibly Joey's. Hey, it's Neely. Hi. Hi, Neely. I really appreciate the support, you guys. There's been a long tradition on this show of scenes where someone was doing... Okay, see, this is where it perfectly dovetails into the other review. Wait, I lost my place. Okay, there's been a long tradition on this show of scenes where someone was doing a really shitty job of keeping someone from seeing something. You know, like, oh shit, there's a horse in the kitchen. Huh? See, it was in the living room, but I forgot. Better keep Danny out of there. Hey Danny, we're having a competition to see who can stay in the living room the longest. And I think this episode would have really benefited from a little levity by having the family scrambling to stop Michelle from walking in on Papouli's dead body. Especially if it was in her bed. Still, her contrived bratty reaction when she refuses to believe that Papouli has died is sufficiently hilarious. So it's not too much of a missed opportunity. It literally is. It's like in 6 minutes. Danny shares a somber moment with her where he tells her that she can talk about how she's feeling and can ask him any questions she might have, and then he tells her he loves her and they hug before he exits the room. It's really weird to watch a long, serious exchange like that. Not just because it's a sitcom, but also because the show is of such poor quality and the characters are so impossible to relate to that it just seems like you're in Bizarro World when you have to watch them behave in a way that's supposed to be realistic or sympathetic. Alright. After Danny exits, Stephanie walks in and it almost seems like we're going to have to sit here and watch Michelle be counseled by every member of the Full House. It's really hard to tell where this is going because there's never been such a dramatic, humorless episode before. I mean, they're all humorless, but never on purpose. Even the episode where Stephanie's classmate's dad was beating him had some zingers in it. But this is just one big wet hanky. Anyway... Stephanie tells Michelle that she can't cry in front of Uncle Jesse because he's really upset and has been crying like a punk bitch. So they have to be brave in front of him to help him cope. I found this to be really interesting. Ever since Stephanie turned around 8 and stopped being cute, they have had a really hard time figuring out what to do with her character. And this is really the only time I can think of where she behaves like a typical middle child. It seems like Stephanie is dealing with her own grief by tampering with her younger sister's emotion, which is the only way she can really feel any sort of control in this situation. It's pretty sinister and manipulative if you think about it. She tells Michelle that she has to repress her emotions for Jesse's sake and instructs her to think of something funny if she feels like she's going to cry. So yeah, I'm the youngest of 3 boys. My oldest brother's here. So that's one of those things where I'm like, the middle brother's fucked up. Alright.
It's not me, I'm not.
What?
I'm not the middle one.
No, he's the oldest brother. The middle brother wasn't invited. Buying a boat. Hey, why not? He says that having a boat is something he's always dreamed about, and there's this really weird seagull sound effect when he says it. You have to see the episode, you just watch for it, it's weird. Joey says that Danny buying the boat makes sense because the death of Papouli is a reminder that life is short, even though Papouli was at least 500 years old when he died. And you have to realize your dreams, which, for Danny, is traveling around in a boat and having anal sex with Joey. Joey's dream is just to mooch off of Danny, so it probably doesn't matter much to him where he does it. They're gonna fuck in that boat. They really love each other. It's beautiful. Alright. Danny names his gay love boat Papouli, which touches Jesse so much that he hugs Danny and cries some more. Then Jesse rushes off to another manic funeral planning session, which makes the family worry about him again. You can't make that shit up. Kimmy Gibbler rolls up on the backyard in her rad shades and callously makes fun of Danny and Joey and their stupid boat. DJ and Kimmy Gibbler are left alone together, and DJ remembers Papouli's convoluted, pointless story about some stupid losers from his crappy village. Although the purpose of that story still remains unclear, Papouli is dead now and life is precious, so DJ and Kimmy Gibbler patch things up. Hugs. Alright, where are we? Okay. Jesse gets a phone call from someone whose identity is never revealed, about Michelle not being at school, and then he finds her hiding out in Danny's gay sex boat. Jesse asks Michelle why she isn't at school, and she says that she can't tell him. He keeps pressing her, and then she admits that she didn't go to school because Papouli was supposed to come to her class that day and teach her class's cheesy dance for Greek stereotypes. She says that him not being there, she should always share her feelings. And then they both bitch and moan about how much they love Papouli. Jesse blames himself for Papouli's death, and Michelle tells him that it wasn't his fault, and then they both cry like a couple of stupid little girls. Aww. This show's not very good, you guys. I guess that this was supposed to be some sort of grand dramatic performance for whichever Olsen twin that is. Who makes an even uglier face than usual as she sort of almost convincingly forces herself to cry. This whole episode has seemed pretty baffling, but then during this scene you can almost see, for your consideration, scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Spoiler alert, this episode won 0 awards.
That's Mary Kate.
Is it Mary Kate? How do you know?
You can tell.
I can't. Good for you. Jessie takes Michelle to school and her teacher asks her if she has anything to share for show and tell. She says that her great-grandfather was going to come and teach them a Greek dance, but then he died, and you can tell that everyone thinks that this is just a lame excuse because she didn't prepare anything. She tries to do the dance herself after warning everyone that she probably can't remember it, and then she craps out about 10 seconds into it. Jessie joins in to help her finish it, which would almost be touching if I hadn't lost my last granule of sympathy after having to look at a bunch of sad, crying faces for 15 minutes. Not to mention the fact that I deeply hate all of these people. That was the most unscrupulous grab for emotionally effective storytelling I've ever seen. Maybe if they brought back Jessie's dad, who was a regular for a while, as the grandparent to kill off, it would have almost been justifiable. The time spent showing people being sad about Papouli's death was actually twice the amount we ever saw of Papouli himself. I am also once again totally blown away at the show's vindictive disregard for grandparents. If they're not disappearing with that explanation, then they're dropping like flies. Well, thanks a lot, Full House. I will never be sad ever again when an old person dies after seeing this. That's it. Alright, so they're going to kick us out in, we got 20 minutes. Does anyone want to have a conversation? Some of you are strangers. Do you have any questions? Who the fuck wrote this shit? What's wrong with you? So, I've gone to book readings and shit. I've done book readings. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to ask a question, but then no one asks a question, and you're like, oh, fuck, up here. So if anyone wants, yes, you, sir.
I got
Yes,
a question.
what's your question?
What's the oldest daughter's name?
DJ.
DJ. How often does she wear that white turtleneck sweater? 'Cause she was just wearing it in one of those big things, and it seems like she wears it a lot, because every time I see it on TV, she's always wearing that. There it is. No, go back.
Yeah, she does wear that a lot.
See, she's wearing it right there. She seems like she wears that thing a lot. It's always under something, and then she's wearing it, and then there's this turtleneck. Is that a recurring outfit thing?
I don't know. Yes?
Who's Uncle Jesse's person again?
Uncle Jesse's
Rebecca.
person?
Yeah,
Like
Rebecca.
his woman, yeah.
Yeah.
Glory.
So Rebecca, you said her life just goes downhill.
Yeah.
What happens? I can't.
What happens is that she is the co-host with Danny of Wake Up San Francisco. And they do a season where Jesse's like, hey, what's going on? What's good, girl? And she's like, oh, I'm not interested. And then that goes away really fast. And then she marries him. And her life is just fucking shattered. And he's just this fuck up, horrible guy. And she just stays with him for no reason, forever. And never gets, as far as I can tell, she never gets anything out of that relationship. So I think, yeah.
I don't think that was well explained enough. I don't remember how he's a fuck up. He's in a band.
Say no more. He's in a band. And
He's into an attic. He just buys motorcycles when he's upset.
yeah, he's just this greasy motherfucker with no ambitions. His ambition is to live in his brother-in-law's house. And he just never does shit. They live in the attic.
Yeah,
They live in the attic. There you go.
It seems so nice, but if anyone actually lived in the attic of their parents,
I'm pretty sure they have one bathroom. And there's I would have to count. There's 12 people in that house. So I don't know. I see a question from a stranger.
There's
Yes.
the music video he did.
Yeah, there's an episode where he does a music video.
Yes.
Did you cover that? I kind of came in.
I did cover it.
You did?
You don't seem like you've been reading every entry of this blog for several years. So yeah, that was 3 years ago or something. I don't know. Yes. Oh, here's a real person. Yes.
So do you have every season on DVD? Is that how you watch?
What happened was, I would Netflix them. I had 2 or 3 Netflix at a time, and the first 4 seasons I did through Netflix, and then season 5 they didn't have on Netflix, and then I was like, this isn't out. And what I did was, by that time, I actually had people reading this thing, and so I got to the end of season 4, and I was like, I'm not doing any more unless people buy it. People are like, who's this fucking guy who wants $12, you know? But to me, I was like, if I can get $12, then fuck it, you know? I have a life where things happen, so I don't necessarily need to do this. So anyway, but right away, people bought all the shit. So I gave away 5, and I have 6, 7, 8, and I would give it to you right now if I had it in my bag, but I forgot. Yes, stranger. What's next? Well,
Perfect Strangers.
no. People are like, oh, you should do this show. And I'm like, I got shit to do. What, Roseanne? Roseanne's a good show. Well, I've talked with, there's a guy on the comments called Tibor who does a blog, who I totally wish was going to come to this. I'm going to bug him to come to the Portland one. And he and I and a couple other people are going to do a podcast where we review Saved by the Bell episodes. So that's the next thing. So sign up for that shit. And I found out there is a Saved by the Bell reviewed podcast, but there can be 2. Because she totally stole my idea, that comedian. Yes?
How did you decide to start writing the reviews?
See, that's a great question. Thank you. Okay, I'll tell you what really happened. What had happened was, I did a book. I made a book. I quit my day job in 2007? I think 2007. And I made a book, and it was like so much work and so hard. And then I finished it, and I was done. Let me see how much time I have. Yeah, I have some time. And I was like exhausted. But what was weird was like I was working all the time. It was a graphic novel, so I drew it, and I co-wrote it, and I drew it. And it was like the most work I've ever done, ever. And I was like, fuck, when this shit is over, I'm going to just chill out. And then I finished it, and I was having like panic attacks, which was really weird, because it's like, I always said, it's like the car is parked, but the motor's still running. So like, I didn't want to do a real project, but I wanted to do something to keep busy, you know? So I was looking on the internet all the time, and I was getting like really high all the time. And I was like, and I was looking at all these YouTube videos and stuff, and then I was like, oh, it would be cool to read a blog where someone reviewed every episode of Family Matters. And that's what I'll do with my time, I'll read that blog. And then it didn't exist. And I was like, well, I'll make that shit. Fuck it, you know? And then you can't get Family Matters on DVD. So, and I was like, well, Full House is even shittier. So, and I was like, oh, it'll take like 2 years to review every episode of Full House, you know? And it was two things. It was one is that it was like something to do. Like it wasn't stressful to do. It was just easy enough that I could do it. But it was also like a commitment, you know, like I had to do this every week and I had to get this done, and you take the screen caps and it was just challenging enough and just easy enough. But also, and the other thing was that I make comic books. That's what I do for a living. I'm an illustrator and I make comic books. So I wanted to work on writing. And so, like, I had an illustration instructor in college, and he would, like, draw his cup of coffee every morning, you know? And it's like this thing where it's like, if you want to do a writing exercise, it's just about the practice of writing. So it's not, like, hard to just describe an episode of Full House once a week. So it's like the material doesn't matter. What matters is you're writing, like, 1,500 words a week, and you're getting it done every Thursday night. You put this shit up, you know, and it's just an exercise. So it was like, again, it was just hard enough and just easy enough to get this thing done. And so, again, though, in my mind, I was like, this will take 2 years. And I didn't realize it would take 4 years. But, so that was it. It was like a combination of elements. I was really bored and I was really tired, but I needed something to do. And it was like just hard enough and just easy enough. And then by around the time, I was like, fuck this shit, you know? Like, oh yeah, and then my friend Devin's here. What happened, I was on season 4. And I was like, this shit is fucking run its course. I'm not doing this anymore. And then you called me on the phone. What was the name of that site where it got...
Oh, Metafilter?
Metafilter. I was like sitting at home, and I didn't used to check this shit very much because there was nothing happening on there. And then Devin calls me, and he's like, hey, I'm on Metafilter, and your shit just got reposted. And I looked, and I had 13,000 hits that day. And I was like, fuck, you know? And then it was on, like, Funny or Die, and it was on the Huffington Post and shit. And I was like, I guess I gotta fucking do this shit now, you know? And then I did that thing where I was like, I'll do this if more people buy me the DVDs. So someone spent like $30, and then I was like, all right, now I'm fucked for fucking 2 more years. So I think that's the story. Does anyone else have any questions? That guy in the doorway does.
How you doing?
I'm so good. I have like 10 more minutes, so if anyone wants to ask anything.
Can you do one more from your blog?
No. Yes, stranger.
My curly-headed girlfriend wants to know why Stephanie's hair straightens out inexplicably in the middle of the...
I don't know like a lot of facts about Full House. I just watched them out of hate. So I can tell you why I hate Stephanie, but I can't tell you facts about her hair.
Who's your least favorite of the daughters? How about that?
Of the daughters? Fucking Michelle, man. She's like, you're watching, I swear the show is like the origin story of like a fascist dictator. This is like the story of where horrible people come from. That's what the show is about. It's entitled people.
Is that a plug for your next project?
Oh, don't talk about that. That's a secret. Yes?
So what are the most glorious moments that you hated, like just absolutely wanted to smash your...
What did I hate the most?
Yeah.
Well, this whole Papouli episode is definitely, I'm going to do, because the shit's about to be over. Like, I've been doing this shit forever, and it's about to be over. And I'm like, all right, I got to do a couple things to wrap it up. I was going to read the Jodie Sweetin book, and then my brother was like, no, I'm not going to read that. So I probably won't. But it's like $2 on Amazon. But I'm going to probably do some top 10 lists and stuff, you know.
Yes.
But the worst moments, yeah, that whole episode, there's a Christmas episode in like the second or third season.
The airport.
In the airport,
Yes.
where Jesse, they get stuck in the airport, and Jesse's wearing this Christmas sweater, and he's like, tells you the meaning of Christmas or whatever, and that shit was fucking unbearable. And then, that was high up. And then there's a moment in season 6 or 7 where Michelle and her classmates sing Twist and Shout, and that shit is just insane. Like, I went mentally insane when I watched that scene. I don't know if you can YouTube it or whatever, but that is the worst fucking shit of the whole thing. Like, where you're just like, what? Why does this exist? And then I'm just remembering, this isn't a bad moment, but I remember there was stuff like, the character of Derek, who's Michelle's friend, is super gay. And I'm okay with that. It's totally cool to be gay. But this is a gay kid. And they like provoke you. Like if someone's going to write a shitty blog about this show, they're going to make a lot of comments about how gay this kid is. And some people think it's offensive, like I have a problem with gay people, but I don't. But there's a moment where he's on the soccer team. And Jesse gives him his goalie jersey, because he's a jersey. And it's a fucking rainbow jersey. And he's like... when they hand it to him, and you're like, this show is provoking me. So there's that. I think I have like another, I gotta pee super bad too. And I got 5 minutes, so we're gonna get kicked out of here. So if anyone has, yes?
Why is your second review party in Oakland, Oregon? Do you live there?
In Portland? Yeah, I live in Portland, Oregon. I grew up in Oakland. I went to Berkeley High. And I grew up in Oakland. I had an inter-district transfer. And I live in Portland, Oregon. And so that's where I'm having it. I wanted to have this like when it was over, and then I was like, I'm not gonna fucking travel for this shit. I'm here anyway for the holidays. So I was like, I'll do the San Francisco shit. It seemed like I have to do it in San Francisco because that's where the show takes place. And then I was like, well, I'll do it a little before, and then I'll have when the shit's actually over, I'll do a thing in Portland, because then I just don't even have to get on a plane or anything.
How many more do you have left?
I have 4 more. Yeah. I know, it's almost over. I know, it's like this thing. It's like it's not a lot of time, but it's like I have quit working at a certain time, and then I fucking write these Full House reviews. It's like the end of my work day. And I've been doing that shit for 4 years. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? I guess I'll have to do something I care about. You know? So that's what's up with that.
Have you seen this, seen them before? Or is that the first time you watched these?
Full House?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of why I picked Full House is because even when I was a kid and the show was on, I was like, this is a fucking shitty show. But I would watch it. It was like on in syndication, and I just couldn't not watch it. It's like, I always say the show, it's like McDonald's. Like, it's like these primary colors, and you know exactly what you're going to get. It's like this weird, flavorless, gross thing. But you just, for some reason, it's on, and you're like, yeah, I'll watch Full House. You know? These like emotions are just fucking drawn out of you, these horrible feelings of like empathy, or you feel sad when they go, oh, you learn a valuable lesson, you know? And I was just, so I feel like that. I feel like it's like the best, worst show, you know? I think a lot too, and your question of why I did this is, I went and saw The Room when I was living in Brooklyn, and I was just like, there's just something so great about this shared experience of something that's horrible, you know? And so I think that had a lot to do with it. I'll do one more, and then that's it. Yes.
So then, what's your favorite sitcom then? If you don't like this one,
My favorite sitcom. I think Roseanne's a really good one. That was a good ass. What?
Top 3.
Yeah, that's
Top 3 sitcoms? I don't think about this.
From this era.
From
There you go.
well, it's wait. What is this era?
The
The 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
Ah.
Like, curious.
Roseanne is good. I actually genuinely like Family Matters.
okay.
Like I watch it. Like Urkel. I'm going to divert that question and I'll tell you another story my friend just told me. We're talking about, there's like a big issue of like blackface as cosplay, you know? And my friend, I was just over there last night, so I'll tell you this story. He was like, oh, I went out as Urkel when I was like 7 years old. And I was wearing black shades. And we're like, what the fuck? This is like a Berkeley kid. Like, how did you not get killed? By white people. And he was like, they were talking about it in the car, and his dad was like, no, like, you respected Urkel. And he was like, I still do. All right, thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate it. Oh, the t-shirt guy is right there if you want to buy t-shirts.
No, you can't actually. But I don't think in all those years you ever got a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah!
Here's the ugly t-shirt of that shitty looking girl.
Yeah! Oh, there's a prize!
There's a very large double XL.
Yeah!
Plane
Who's gigantic?
up for grabs. So if you can give this out, if ever you
All right,
worthy.
I'm gonna pee in my pants, so I'll be right back.
Think about it.